Good evening, everybody. Good afternoon and potentially good morning for some of you. Welcome to this session on graduate study at the American University of Paris, part of a series of our virtual events for admitted and prospective students who are interested in the American University of Paris. My name is Tim Rogers. I'm the Director of Enrollment Management here in Paris, and I'm joined today by two of my favorite colleagues and coincidentally, two program directors. They'll introduce themselves in a moment. This is a short session, about 45 minutes. We're intending to have a few slides. We're going to have a few bits of presentation, but actually largely through conversation, we hope to provide you with information on some of our graduate programs here offered at AUP. Why studying at the graduate level at AUP is something that you might want to consider, the value of a liberal arts approach to graduate study, and why programs in communications and management are increasingly popular in this context. We'll also touch upon why students finally make the decision to come and what they do after graduation. So I'm going to first pass over to my colleague, Robert. Robert, over to you.
Thank you very much, Tim, and welcome everybody to this session. So my name is Robert Earhart. I'm the Program Director of the Masters of Science in International Management program. The acronym you might see is the MSIM, or MSIM sometimes it's called. And I'm just going to walk you very quickly through some of the features of our program. I've prepared a short presentation, and just bear in mind, I'm not going to dwell on the slides very long, but this is being recorded, so if you want to go back and look later, you can always hit pause if there's something you want to look at more. But essentially, our program is designed to be quite flexible and customized. And our program philosophy is threefold. We want to offer students a solid grounding in contemporary management. So we first focus on conventional approaches. So what you'd see in any more vocationally oriented management master's program. But then we combine that with critical and alternative perspectives grounded in theoretical and empirical approaches. And we highly customize our program. So we try to deploy all of the resources we have at our disposal to help you meet your personal and professional objectives while you're in the program and after. So our program philosophy is such that we have several different program tracks. Our program is grounded in sustainable development and mission-based and NGO management. However, there's a broad set of perspectives that also appeal to anybody with a management interest in almost any industry. Our program is grounded on theories and frameworks around management in times of complexity and ambiguity, and we work quite a bit towards seeking alternatives to conventional practices, which if we look at what's going on around us in the world today, a lot of these conventional practices are either the sources of problems or are not responding adequately to the problems that we face geopolitically, global health, environment, inequality, etc. We have a fairly diverse set of pedagogies. So we offer intensive modules. We offer courses that meet through the full semester, that meet for part of the semester. So our program design is actually quite flexible and diverse. And then, as I mentioned before, we have the different program tracks. So we have a general management track, a sustainability systems track, and an NGO and mission-based management track. And you can see our general track has a set of core requirements, as well as a selection of electives. And then finally, you choose your end level, which is your final project, whether that be an internship or a thesis. And with the sustainability systems track, once again, there are a number of core courses with more coursework focused on sustainability in particular, as well as general management concerns. And then with our NGO and mission-based management track, once again, there are more courses focused on the management of NGOs and mission-based businesses. And so we have a number of different approaches. So we have students that work through the program in a single year. And this is a very busy year. So basically you're completing almost all your credits in 1 year, and this is possible. We've had quite a few students do it. However, this is what we refer to as the exciting chaos plan. It will be an incredibly busy year for you. We have a 3-semester plan, and this is the plan that most of the students end up taking, where they do slightly fewer courses each semester, so it gives them more time to work through the material. This is what we refer to as the sensible plan. This generally ends up how most of our students end up doing the program. And then we have what is referred to as the part-time plan, where students finish their coursework more slowly. The part-time plan is generally geared towards students that are already working in the EU. It allows for them to work more slowly through the coursework. And so we refer to this as the very chill plan, but if you're working full-time, it's the exciting chaos plan. As you will notice that a lot of our courses are 2 credits, but these 2-credit courses are actually quite intense. So these are our full course offerings. So we have quite a few different courses. Also, you can take electives from both the communications and the international affairs programs as well. Our program runs off of different learning methods, lectures, discussion, case studies, group projects. There are actually live client projects where students actually work for a client doing a consulting project. We have debates, films, etc., and the methods will vary depending on the course. And once again, our program is very grounded in both conventional and alternative management practice. And we actually do take quite a bit of time in our program to evaluate and reflect on our experience and the practices that we are working through. So our goal to a certain degree is to, blow your mind. And this is a theoretical construct you'll see about the end of the world. But really, when we think about the world and what it is, a lot of times it's a shift of perspective. We also see a lot of our students as they go through the program, they end up changing their focus quite significantly, seeing the world in new ways with different perspectives. And generally we find our students quite excited to embark on a new path as they complete the program. And finally, obviously, right now we are dealing with a global pandemic, and this has obviously influenced what is happening in the program and how the program is delivered. And that's fine. We're actually incorporating a lot of these lessons, both for management, but also as individuals in what it is that we're doing with our curriculum this semester. So right now, due to the coronavirus lockdown in France, our courses are remote, but we're actually, all of our classes are still running on time. We've adjusted, I think, very nicely. So in the event that there are additional confinements in the semesters to come, we're incredibly well prepared. And generally, whenever possible, we do focus on in-person learning. So thank you very much. I deeply appreciate your time and attention to our program, and I look forward to hopefully seeing you in the coming semester.
Thanks, Robert. That's really, really great introduction. So Hannah, over to you.
Yeah, hi everybody. I didn't prepare a slideshow, and I'm relieved about that now because I couldn't possibly have competed all those exploding heads, Robert. They were amazing. Yeah, so I'm Hannah Wesley, and I'm the Program Director for the Masters in Global Communications. So there are many, many communications programs out there. What makes the communications at AUP unique? Well, we offer an interdisciplinary hybrid approach to communications. So this means that we think about communications. We take what's best about the liberal arts education. We have small, intimate classes. We think about communications through a prism of cross-critical analysis, cultural thinking, and historical contextualization. And so we contextualize communications, and then we think about how the critical component can complement or is complemented by a practical, hands-on, skill-based approach to communications. So our program blends both practice and theory. So there are fewer times, I think, in history where it's been more exciting to study media and communications. I mean, look at what we're doing this evening. Media has infiltrated our lives to such an extent that we now use it for educational purposes, as well as information, as well as for staying in touch with our loved ones, as well as for entertainment. And so the courses that we have on offer give you the means with which to question the media environment that we inhabit. And then we show you how you can use that critical thinking with skills to develop and take that knowledge out into the workplace. What else can I tell you? The program is a 48 credit program. So this means that you would do sort of 16 credits. Usually we would do 16 credits in the first semester, 16 credits in the second semester, followed by 8 credits over the summer. So you have your 3 semesters, and then you finish up with a choice between an internship or a thesis. What do our graduates go on to do? They go on to do a whole variety of things. Our alumni never cease to amaze me. They work for NGOs, they work for communication agencies, they work for media agencies, they go on to be journalists, they go on to be educators. 3 years ago, the Masters in Global Communications was accredited by the French government. So when you graduate from the Masters in Global Communications, you receive 2 diplomas. You receive a Masters in Global Communications from AUP, and you also receive a certification that is called the RNCP, which is a French government certificate. And in order to qualify for this accreditation, we had to prove that there was a direct correlation between the courses that our students take and the skills that they acquire on those courses and the careers that they end up with. So in order to, part of the application process for this accreditation was a massive survey that we sent out to our alumni. We surveyed over 300 alumni, and the results that we found were quite stupendous. We found that within a year, 9 out of 10 of our alumni had got a job or had gone on to do a PhD. 90% of them within 3 years had permanent contracts. So obviously the job market is shifting and shaking under the impact of COVID-19, but our graduates leave our program with firm employment potential. I don't know what else to tell you. I could give you some examples of the courses that we offer. So for example, to demonstrate the balance of theory and practice, one of our core courses is a course called Brands and Beliefs. This examines brands and how brands circulate in society, how they accumulate meaning, how we understand brands and their social signification. And then to balance that, we run a branding practicum. So students work in small groups with a branding consultant who comes into the university for 3 days. Often the practica are run in short, intense blocks of time. So that could be 3 days or 3 weeks. And they learn how to develop a brand from the ground up. We run a course on visual culture. So how to analyze, break down the signification of the visual text that we're looking at. And to balance that, we have a visual design practicum. So you learn the skills that you need, the software that you need to build visual communications. So MAGIC, as we call it, the Masters in Global Communications, is a perfectly balanced program. You have the critical analytical thinking on the one hand, and on the other hand, you have the practice skill-based courses that equip you to go out into the workplace. Oh, I forgot to mention so we have the regular program, which is the general program, and then within that you can specialize. So we have a track that specializes in digital cultures and industries. So that has a tighter focus on digital technology. Then we have the fashion track. So this prepares people to go out and work in the fashion industry. And then we have the development track. So the people who take development communications often end up working for organizations like UNESCO, OECD, and other smaller NGOs.
Great.
Have I forgotten anything, Tim?
That's great. No. That's a great introduction to both of the programs. So we're going to take questions from the audience, but I've got a few questions that I would like answers to as well. And the first one, which you've both kind of touched on, is around the extent to which internships play a role in your graduate programs. Hannah?
Yeah, internships play a massive part in our programs. So at the end of the degree, as I said, so you have 3 semesters of courses, the 4 credit academic courses, 2 credit modules. And then at the end of those 3 semesters, you can make a choice between doing a thesis or an internship. And so the internship is an 8 credit internship. We have a wonderful internship office at AUP, which helps place people with the companies that they want to work for. So we have a database of that has companies with positions that they're looking to fill. But the internship office also helps students target their own companies. So they'll help you show you how to craft a letter, how to improve your CV, how to work on your LinkedIn, and they'll show you the best way to reach out to a company and obtain positive results. Right. And then, so the internship isn't all about just sort of being in the workplace. It also combines a sort of theoretical approach. So you have it's applied learning. At the end of your internship, you have to submit a written report in which you try and see the relationship between what you've experienced in the workplace and its relationship to what you've learned in the courses. So there's a critical reflection that happens. But often internships do lead to employment, and most of our interns have a very positive experience in the workplace.
Great, thanks, Hannah. Robert?
Yes, basically in the last 5 years in the MSIM program, almost 100% of our students have done internships, even those that do their end level on a thesis. So even if you decide you want to produce a thesis as your end level, most of our students will do 0 credit internships to support how their thesis is done to collect data and empirical evidence through an internship. Most of our students will start looking at their internship at least 6 months before they start. Part of the advising process in our program is we start looking at the industries and careers that you're interested in entering when you finish the program. And then we start to work towards building your networks in those areas. I'd say probably about, depending, once again, it depends on the year, 30 to 40% of our students end up finding their job through their job after they completely complete the program through their internship. And probably roughly half the times it's directly with the company that they're interning at, but the other half the time it is through the direct network that is obtained through their internship. We've had students enter a wide variety of different sectors, the NGO sector, the more, how should I say, conventional, traditional corporate sector, right, as well as through clean technology companies, as well as sustainability, public relations and marketing companies as well. And actually there is quite a bit of interaction between the communications, politics, and management master's programs as well. And so it's not just the network within your program or from the Career Center, but it's actually the network of all the different students, the faculty, and the alums of the graduate school at the American University of Paris. And so because we are a relatively small school, that obviously comes with some limitations, but one of the benefits is you generally know or come into contact with all of the graduate students. There's actually quite a bit of social networking across all the programs and within the program. And so these networks actually come into play quite significantly, both during the program and in seeking internships and after the program in terms of career opportunities and networks.
Great. Actually, first question, which completely relates to the internship question is, do you need to speak French to be able to successfully complete an internship?
The answer is that companies in France who are looking for interns are often looking for interns because of their English language. So, I mean, we have a lot of interns who go into social media management for companies, and they're looking to build communication campaigns for an English speaking audience. So no, you're not limited by your linguistic ability very much, although I would say to all of our graduate students that being in Paris and being in France is a wonderful opportunity to learn French. And yes, it will ultimately improve your employment prospects in France.
Yeah, great. Robert?
Yeah, and I would also like to add, definitely French helps if your goal is an internship in France and to live and work in France after the program. French is critical, and as part of the master's program at AUP, students are allowed to enroll in French courses as auditors. So it actually, you can take French without having a higher degree cost. And so most of our students do try to take advantage of that. It definitely helps to have French, although a lot of our students will do their internships elsewhere in Europe. So we've had quite a few students end up in Brussels or the Netherlands or the UK. A few will go to other regions in the world as well. So yes, the French language helps, but it's not required. In fact, a lot of times the competitive advantage, much like Hannah was saying with her program, is that these are companies that need native English speakers or extremely fluent English speakers for the positions that they're looking for.
Great, thanks. So second question is for both of your programs, is there a typical profile for a successful applicant to either MAGIC or MSIM? Robert?
Yeah, we actually have a variety of different profiles. So our program is designed to appeal to students who have a background in business administration or management, because we offer a number of alternative approaches, concepts and theories that you may not have encountered. Our program also very much appeals to students with a liberal arts background, because you'll see a lot of the social sciences and humanities reflected in the courses and in our approaches. And so you might actually find the management components to be more legible because of that. In terms of our student backgrounds, we generally strongly encourage our applicants to have some work experience before coming into the program, because it actually will enrich your experience significantly. So we have quite a few students that do come out of undergrad directly into the master's program, but they've usually done internships and have some work experience. But then we also have quite a few students that have several years of work experience, and so they're returning to pursue their master's degree after 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We've even had some with 15 years of work experience coming into the program. And a lot of them are sometimes students with those profiles are very reluctant, going, oh, I haven't been to school for a long time. But you'll actually see that your professional experience is weighted very heavily, both in the admissions process. We actually take that quite seriously. You'll also find that it will give you benefits in the classroom as well. So I would say, a large variety of different student backgrounds. The other thing too is I would say that if you've taken a few years off from undergraduate, and then you're coming back and you're, how should I say, feeling somewhat uncertain about your undergraduate GPA, et cetera, that work experience, we do really look at it. And so we've had some students that, okay, they maybe had mediocre undergraduate experiences, but several years of work experience. And then we can actually evaluate that work experience, and they end up being incredibly successful, both academically and after the program professionally, because that experience is given importance. So it's not just about the academics. The experience is very much part of your educational background and your knowledge.
Great, thanks. Hannah, for Magic?
Yeah, no, I mean, very much like applicants to Robert's program. I mean, we have a huge variety of students coming into our program, and I'm constantly amazed by the diversity of their background. I mean, we have students come to us who are straight out of their undergrad and want to get their masters before they go out into the workplace. But I mean, the age ranges, I mean, I've had students so in their early 20s, and I have students in their mid 50s. So yeah, just like Robert, we take the whole dossier into consideration. We don't just look at the GPA. We don't just look at the academic potential of a candidate. We also take into consideration their work experience. I mean, what we're looking for is motivated, determined, curious people who want to go into school and really invest themselves in a learning experience and get something out of it.
Great. Okay, so next question, which you've both already touched upon, but it's probably worth kind of exploring a little more, is the balance of theory and practice in both of your courses. Hannah, maybe you could say something on that, because that's a real feature of Global Comms.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, I think I spoke earlier about that. I mean, so the course offers both a theoretical critical approach to communications and a practical approach. So you're learning to think about the media and communications in an analytical way. To go back to, a quote from Marshall McLuhan, one of the early theorists of communications, one of the elements that the only element that a fish can know nothing of is water. And this is like us in our media saturated world. So what we try and do is like extract the student and get them to see the media from a critical analytical perspective. And then we put them back and we say, okay, so you understand how it works now build something with it, now make something of it. But I think the thing that I forgot to mention earlier was sort of the experiential learning element of the Global Communications program. So field trips and practica are really built into the program. I mean, unfortunately, all of our study trips are temporarily on hold with COVID-19. But if you're on the development communications track, you would usually spend a semester, well, not a semester, but a month in India on the Sustainable Development Practicum, which is just a transformative experience for those students who are involved with that. I mean, we run a course called Place Branding, where the professor who teaches that has taken students regularly to Iceland. We run a program that's focused on food and anthropology and tasting, and the professor who teaches that takes students to the Jura to look at how cheese is made and how the cooperative business structure functions. So you've got the theory, you've got the practice, and then you've got the immersive experience of cultural study trips and practica and field work.
Perfect. Robert?
Yes, a great metaphor, by the way, Hannah, with the fish and what water is. But I think in our program, we generally, management is always, how should I say, a very practice-based field. In fact, a lot of management masters tend to be overly vocational. So I think compared to a lot of conventional management programs, ours does have more theory in it. We actually use quite a bit of complexity theory, as well as a philosophical theory to better understand management problems. So you might actually find more theory in our program than you would maybe in a more vocationally oriented program. However, most, I'd say probably more than 60% of our course time is actually spent on projects and experience-based learning. So we do quite a bit with case studies, looking at management problems and that are based in what's actually happened, and then looking at its solutions and new perspectives on those. We also every semester do a live project. So once a year we have a consulting project where students will work directly with a client on a problem, and then also once a year then we also do a more case-based problem where then you are presenting those solutions and techniques to a jury of professionals and faculty in the program as well. We do try to try for a balance there. The problem with quite a bit of management education, I find, is that sometimes it's overly concerned with the practice itself and the performance rather than the reflection on that. And so another critical part of what we do in the program is we sort of ask you regularly to reflect on what is it you're actually doing and why are you doing it. And so there's always these moments built in looking at that. So we really do try to fuse all of the theory and the practice with reflection. And I think many of our students find that quite useful, especially as they're getting ready to go out into the world and pursue their careers. Sometimes knowing why you're doing something is also incredibly important. So hopefully that answers the question.
Absolutely, yeah. And it actually relates to the next one, which is there's clearly, students who are tuning in tonight are aware that we're a school of liberal arts. That's predominantly our direction intellectually and academically. What are the advantages of studying at the graduate level in a university that is imbued with the liberal arts? Hannah?
Well, I mean, liberal arts has a distinct tradition in the States, but I mean, it's come to mean certain things. So for example, at AUP, what it means is small classrooms. It means dialogue. It means intimacy and support. I mean, on the academic side, it involves critical thinking, right? So this is what we bring into the program on the academic side, but in sort of concrete terms, what it means is that, that we have these small classrooms, that students have an opportunity to get to know their professors very well, that professors become mentors. I mean, many of our faculty, and in my department, there are sort of 20, I think, full-time faculty, and we stay in touch with our students long after graduation. You become part of a sort of a big family, if you like. But yeah, I think, so when I said earlier that we take the best of what a liberal arts education has to offer, there is this sort of interdisciplinary critical approach that liberal arts traditionally offers, but we blend it with the pre-professional training. So you've got that in this small, intimate setting.
Yeah, perfect.
But I feel I neglected to mention when we were talking about admissions and sort of the perfect candidate and so on, something that I often get from students who are interested in the program is, do I have to have a background in communications? Do I have to have an undergraduate degree in communications? And the answer is no. That all students who are coming into the program take a foundational course. Even if so, and on this course, you get to meet your entire cohort. So there'll be some students who are coming in who do have a background in communications, but communications programs at the undergraduate level are wildly varying. And so we think it's important to get all students on the same page. So we also bring those students up to speed who do not have a background in communications. So we welcome applicants from all fields.
Right.
Yeah, great. Robert?
Well, it's sort of hard to top what Hannah said, because I definitely think all of her points are valid actually across all of our graduate programs. There is definitely this balance of sort of the liberal arts sensibility, the critical thinking with professional practice. I think what makes it very interesting, at least in the context of the MSIM program, is that oftentimes these ethical and critical considerations are left out of management practice. And so it definitely, the liberal arts identity of AUP makes our program incredibly unique for that. I definitely think as the graduate school at AUP as a whole, this is definitely the case, and there's actually quite a lot of interaction between the programs. In fact, a number of our students participate in the Sustainable Development Practicum in India, which is put up through the Communications Master's Program. We've had quite a few students participate in the War College exercise, which is put up through the Politics Program. And so there is also the liberal arts, there is this interaction between the different disciplines and the topics, because when as you're existing in the world, there aren't these artificial separations all the time between, oh, well, this is communications versus management versus politics. This is all sort of going on at the same time, and these are all skills and ideas that are important to encounter and understand. So I think that's what makes all of our graduates programs quite unique, is there is sort of this nice balance between the professional and the career oriented and the self knowledge and ethics and being a citizen. And that, I think, is very much the heart of what we do.
Great. Okay, next question, which is a fantastically direct question, is are AUP graduates employable? Robert?
Oh, okay. I was so used to Hannah going first, where I'm like, oh, wow, Hannah, that's a good one. But I do think that definitely AUP graduates are incredibly employable. In fact, if you look at what employers are looking for, it's not just the technical skills. It's the ability to think critically. It's the ability to be creative. It's the ability, I mean, nobody wants to be the boring person at the cocktail party. It's a lot of these important social skills and soft skills come through our program. And so our graduates are not only eminently hireable, but they also, I think, have a competitive advantage over, at least from management programs, there's a competitive advantage based on the broad skill base that our graduates have.
Great. Hannah, for comms?
So, the Masters in Global Communications was established in 2006. So we've built up quite an impressive array of alumni. And as I said, we're in touch with a lot of those. And we know what they're doing today. And we know that they're working for companies like Google and Facebook and UNESCO and the OECD and Hermes and the BBC and the Washington Post. They have really impressive jobs. They have very impressive salaries. I know that as well. They earn a lot more than their old professors do. I have this concrete information because as I mentioned earlier, we were accredited by the French government 3 years ago to award a French certification to graduates of our program. And this means that we surveyed over 300 of our graduates. And so we know what jobs they have. We know how their careers have unfolded, and the results are really, really impressive. But as Robert says, I think, we're incredibly ambitious because we don't want just to produce well-equipped graduates for the work market. We also, we like the whole person. And we like to think that a liberal arts context also brings in the ethics, a set of values. So it's a holistic approach to education that AUP offers.
Great. Okay, so it looks like there's one final question, which is, respective programs a good stepping stone for doctoral work? Hannah?
Okay, yeah. I mean, yes, we have a number of students who have gone on to do very impressive things. We have a student right now who's at Oxford working on her PhD. We have other students who have gone to French universities to pursue PhDs. Unsurprisingly, given the current COVID economy, I have more and more students express an interest in going on to do PhDs. And yeah, any one of our master's programs sets you in good stead to embark upon further study.
Great, thank you. And Robert, same with international management?
Oh yes, in fact, we actually have a student right now who was who's finishing up their master's thesis and is doing an intake into a doctoral program, and so we've been able to arrange that the students' second reader for their thesis will be their doctoral program supervisor. So their master's thesis actually then will feed directly into their doctoral work. We have had a few students go on to do doctoral work. The MSIM program is still relatively young, but we've seen increasing interest in that area. And so as a program, we've been building up connections and networks with possible doctoral supervisors. And one of the things that we tell students who are interested in doctoral work is that it's very important to actually have a connection with somebody with a shared research interest is what you want to do, that actually just simply applying to the program, that, okay, you can do that, but it's actually the relationship you build with a doctoral supervisor that is probably the most critical. Because if you go into a program not knowing who your supervisor is going to be and one is assigned to you, it's actually, if there's no really good interaction between your research and your supervisor's research, chances are you will not be successful. And so we've actually embarked on this process with a few students. It's not the most common path. If your goal is a doctorate, there are several different approaches, but we have had students sort of realize that was an area they wanted to go into while they were in the program, and we've definitely worked with them towards that goal. So it is definitely possible.
Great, thank you. So that's it. So thanks very much, everybody. Thank you, Robert. Thank you, Hannah, for joining the session. Thank you, everybody out there in virtual land, COVID land. Thanks for your attendance and thanks for your continued interest in AUP. We know that we've got some prospective students and some incoming students for January. We'll be stopping the live stream in a moment. If you have any questions, please contact your admissions counsellor or email the usual address at admissions@aup.edu. And thank you again, and hopefully see some of you on campus at AUP in Paris